important regulations.
Darian Fenton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, this is where we get into some disagreement with the government, and this is where there were also concerns from the industry who made submissions to the Select Committee, and it's particularly around the issue of regulations that will set the bands of the costs for road use charges. And it gets back to that argument, I think, that we've been putting through all the way through this debate about taxation without representation. And it's a fundamental part of our Parliament that there should not be imposition of tax, which is essentially what road user charges is, without representation. It should not go through our parliamentary system through a regulations process. And so I think, Mr. Chair, what we will find is that there will be, this is the part of, apart from the calculation of gross vehicle weights and the new calculation and nominated weights, this is the part of the bill that the industry most objects to. And I don't blame them, actually, Mr. Chair. What we heard through the Select Committee, there was a sort of weak consultation process like more than 2 years ago that arose after the truckie strike that people have alluded to before the last election, and which I must say actually was quite politically motivated. And Annette King, the then minister, handled it extremely well and set up a committee to look at the whole issue of road use charges. And so part of this bill does come back from the report back of that. But it was very, very interesting for me, after all of that sort of politically charged thing that we had before the last election, to have a bill from this government that now proposes to impose new charges for road user charges on truckies without proper parliamentary scrutiny. And there was no one that came through to the Select Committee, or apart from the National Party friends, there was no one that came to the Select Committee that were convinced about this process. They said, how do we know, how can we support this bill when we have no idea what the costs are going to be? We have no idea, other than some sort of broadband calculation that was done 2 years ago. We do not know what the costs are going to be for our industry. We want to have a say in that, and I think that's fair enough, because we are talking about big business but also small business here that I thought the National Party supported. And it's going to have a significant impact on them, and I think they have a right to have a genuine say in that through a Select Committee process. But of course, as we know, with a regulations process, that can there's a whole lot of there's a way of dodging around that. And so what the industry is calling for is genuine parliamentary scrutiny on these charges, Mr. Chair, and they're saying they do not want these charges imposed through regulation. They want them in the bill as they have been in the past. They want this government to honour the commitments they made when they lined up when the truckies were rolling past in the strike in 2008, which I said was politically motivated. They don't like this government either, actually. I have to tell that member, they do not like this government. They are let down by this government. They've been let down by this government. They are saying that this part of the bill is one of the things that they are completely opposed to. It is appalling that there are going to be charges imposed on this industry. There are going to be charges imposed on this industry where the people that actually have to do the work and run their businesses will have very little say, and at the end of the day there will not be proper parliamentary scrutiny. These charges should be in the bill. It should not be through the process of regulations that are proposed by the bill. And actually, I think there will be quite a few protests when this bill goes through. And I certainly know that the truckies are organising themselves, not only around the calculation of nominated weights versus gross weights, but also about the fact that they're going to have charges imposed on them when they actually don't get to have a proper say on it. Mr Chair. So that's the major objection that we have to Part 4 of this bill. This is why when we came to Select Committee we reserved our position on this, and we will vote against Part 4. There are good things on this bill, but I have to say the government's let itself down.
Chris Farr for you.
Mr Chair, thank you very much for the opportunity.